Does an Ultrasabers lightsaber make a good first lightsaber? So it really depends on what you're looking for, but let's go over some of the factors to consider before possibly selecting Ultrasabers as your first lightsaber. Well, okay, price point. Price point is a very important thing for most people, especially when you're getting your very first lightsaber. A lot of people are thinking of maybe spending around $100 or so, or less, and Ultrasabers has quite a few options within that price range. So they have quite a few stunt sabers that are, somewhere between about $60 to $100, and a lot of them will look kind of like this. This is an Aeon LE V4, and they'll be a little more basic in design, but they'll also be, relatively decent dueling sabers. So it's very common for people to lightsaber duel, especially with some of the more basic Ultrasabers lightsabers. And since they're more basic in design, that also leaves kind of more opportunity for customization. So, people like to weather a lightsaber, maybe add some leather wrap to it, or add some grips, or change the coloring. There's lots of different options there. So that's definitely a perk as well. Another lightsaber that's available in that price range from Ultrasabers is the grab bag saber or the mystery box saber. And what's nice about both of those is you don't know what hilt you're getting, okay? Which sounds kind of like a bad thing, but it can also be a good thing too, because especially when you're purchasing a first lightsaber, you're probably a little overwhelmed with the selection, the different features, all of the different hilt styles, all of that good stuff. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, and if you get a grab bag saber or a mystery box saber, that removes kind of all of those decisions from you, and you end up getting a hilt. You don't know what it's going to be. Ultrasabers will send you one. It'll often be one a little bit like this one right here, and it'll usually be within the $100 price range or so, unless you get the guaranteed sound saber for the mystery box saber. In that case, you would get one with sound for sure. But so those are some nice sabers, within the $100 price range from Ultrasabers. And consider they are all stunt sabers. So stunt sabers means that they don't have sound. If you do want a sound saber, you'd have to pay a little bit more, either from Ultrasabers, or you would possibly have to select a lightsaber from another company. Now, some other custom saber companies do sell sound sabers that are around $100 or less, but consider the quality is quite often a bit lower, so that's definitely something to consider, but they are out there. So, you may want to shop around with those types of things as well, especially if you're considering to get, a sound saber rather than a stunt saber. Now, what else do you need to know about Ultrasabers? Okay, so the hilt size. People often talk about the hilt size of Ultrasabers. This is a very common discussion point. Now, a lot of their more basic hilts, kind of like this Aeon LE V4, they're relatively standard size. I mean, you can see the hilt itself is kind of long, but it's not really too big in its diameter. Although some of the other kind of more character-inspired hilts, like these two over here, are kind of the more fancy hilts that they sell. Sometimes people kind of say, oh, the hilts are quite big. They are a bit bigger than some of the other brands for sure. But, it really depends on what you're looking for. I know, some people have told me they have larger hands and they appreciate having the larger hilts. But yeah, definitely know about the size and kind of pay attention to those measurements before you purchase a hilt from Ultrasabers. Because here's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi style hilt that they sell. It's called Guardian. But yeah, so basically, you guys, Ultrasabers can be a very good option, especially for U.S. buyers. Okay, we do have to talk about geography a little bit, because where you live does matter a lot when you purchase a lightsaber, okay? Because a lot of times if you're purchasing a lightsaber outside of your home country, wherever it may be, you'll be subject to higher shipping fees, first of all, and you may also have to pay extra import fees or customs fees. And so that can really increase the price of a lightsaber. I know it's very common for international buyers to, be a little upset about what the prices will end up being for getting even a basic Ultrasabers lightsaber, or, other lightsabers possibly from the U.S. as well. So that's definitely something to look at. And same goes the other direction, right? So like if you're a US buyer looking at companies outside of the US, it's you may have to pay additional shipping money and such as well. So that's definitely something to look for. Now, how about shipping times? Okay, that's a really big thing with custom sabers. Some custom saber companies take quite a long time to ship lightsabers. Now, Ultrasabers, okay, we're at an interesting point. Just as of the taping of this video anyway, Ultrasabers states that they're, it's taking about 3 to 4 weeks for them to ship items. Now, I had an order from them in December, and it exceeded that time. So they quoted that same 3 to 4 weeks at the time, and mine took a few extra weeks beyond that before I got it. Now, when it's not peak times like it is right now, quite often Ultrasabers will be one of the fastest shipping companies with custom sabers. At least that's been my experience. Now, we are still we're very close to winter, when we had the release of the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Lightsabers are very much in demand right now, and a lot of the custom saber companies are still kind of catching up from their backlog from that. And Ultrasabers is definitely in that situation too. But currently they're estimating 3 to 4 weeks at, off-peak times. Possibly in a few months from now, we'll see their kind of fulfillment period may decrease again so that it's only like a few days or a week or so. But we'll have to see what happens. So that's definitely a nice thing about Ultrasabers too, generally speaking, but again, at this specific time, it's a little bit different. So those are some factors, those are some reasons you may want to purchase an Ultrasabers lightsaber as a first lightsaber, but they are really commonly used for dueling, okay? That's a fair point. A lot of people are looking for a lightsaber that they can use, for dueling, and Ultrasabers really is still a very common selection, for a first lightsaber for that type of scenario. They make very strong blades, especially if you get the heavy grade blade. Those are very strong, very durable blades, and very good quality. And then their stunt sabers, especially some of these cheaper ones like this, are also quite strong, pretty well made as well. Now, if you're looking for sound sabers, Ultrasabers does make some great sound sabers. There are a lot of other companies that make sound sabers within that price range as well. So you could consider taking a look at, Saber Forge, certainly, Saber Trio out of Malaysia, Electrum Saber Crafts. Those are some other options. Kyberlite too. All of those companies offer some other sound sabers, and they all do things a little bit differently. But they're similar price ranges for several of those companies as well. And finally, Neopixel Sabers. Neopixel lightsabers are becoming super popular because they have this blade that contains the LEDs right within the blade. They get all these cool visual effects, like you get the blaster bolt deflect kind of effect and the scrolling effect, when you turn on and turn off a lightsaber. They have all these different things they can do that in-hilt LED lightsabers can't do. So Ultrasabers currently only sells in-hilt LED lightsabers. So those are lightsabers that have the LED right inside the hilt. The blade is basically just a tube that you attach. And, these are still a very kind of popular configuration for a lightsaber, but a lot of people are looking for these Neopixel lightsabers these days just because of, the extra features that they have attached to them. So Ultrasabers doesn't currently have that. Quite a few other companies now have Neopixel technology. Sometimes it's called Plector Pixel or just, a pixel lightsaber. Look for those if you're looking for that technology. But yeah, you would have to look for that from a different company. But, it's possible Ultrasabers will incorporate that into, their company at some point, but not at the moment. They don't have it at the moment. So that would possibly be a reason you wouldn't purchase an Ultrasabers lightsaber as a first lightsaber if you want the Neopixel technology. But you could always get an empty hilt from them, I suppose, and send it off to an installer to add the Neopixel installation to it. But at any rate, Those are just some reasons why you would go with Ultrasabers as your first lightsaber, or why you would possibly go with another company. But they are really a good fit if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive stunt saber, and especially if you get like a mystery box saber or a grab bag saber. It makes it super easy. You don't have that many choices, and you can just kind of end up with a first lightsaber and see exactly how you like it. So feel free to comment below with your recommendations for a first lightsaber, specific hilt models, specific companies. I'd love to hear from you below.